Hello and welcome to Myra's Crafting Playground Day 18, and we're a little bit late tonight. It's my husband's birthday today, and so a little bit of family celebration was going on. So tonight I'm going to bring you a Z-fold or Z-fold card. So the card is like this, and then when you open it up, it's sort of it's called a Z-fold. That's just what it's called. And it's really a good type of card to do scenes with. You know, you can build up whatever you want. I've decided to go with sort of a country theme or a woodsy theme. I'm not quite sure what you want to call it. My main colors that I've used is Blueberry Bushel, and again I'm using the paper pack. Oh dear, I've done it again. It's the Winter Meadow paper pack. So this paper here is from the Winter Meadow pack, and the predominant color besides white is Blueberry Bushel. So I'll show you how to make this. I've put together some of the pieces already just to sort of expedite that portion of the video, but I'll show you how to make the fold and how to connect the pieces, and then hopefully that'll get you started, and from there you can build your own scenes and do your own cards. So let's go down to the table here. Okay, so I have a new mat, paper pumpkin, so hopefully that won't be too distracting. Okay, first of all, the sets that I have used, I used the Peaceful Season set, and in this set I used the verse, hoping the season is bright and beautiful. That's the verse that I used. I'm just being careful when I put this down that I don't lose pieces. And in this set I also used, where are you now, the smaller die to cut out the verse. So I've already stamped it, popped it on a piece of Blueberry Bushel, and but that's the die and the stamp set that I used, Peaceful Season. Then the houses that you see on here, this one here and these here, they're from the Yuletide Village set, and there's no matching dies, so yes, I fussy cut them, just so you know. And then finally I've used the Forever Forest set again, and from that set I have used all of the large trees, and there's also this piece here which cuts out the sort of mountainous range, and it embosses it as well, so it's really quite nice. So, and those dies are from the Forever Forest bundle. Okay, let's get started. So I have my trees here, and my houses here, my pre-cut mountainous range, so you can see the embossing on that. I have my card base. So my card base is the typical 4 1/4 by 11. So how that's going to be bent is, first I'm going to fold it over, get my bone folder out and score that, and then similar to when I did that pop-up tent card, I'm going to take this piece and fold it back over. Sorry, got to get them lined up here. Back over, and I'm going to score that piece as well. Okay, so right now, actually this way. Right now I have same as my card base, so it's just folded over like that. So then this piece, which by the way I've put it on the bottom to sort of go with my snowy base, but depending what paper you use here, this could be placed in the middle. It could be thicker, it could be thinner, totally up to you about the thickness of this piece and the placement of this piece. But other than that, what you're going to do with this piece is, again, you're going to fold it in half, fold it in half, straight in half. Gosh, you think the skinnier piece would be easier to do. Surprise. And guess what? We're going to fold it back again, just like we did on the other one. The magic here comes when you're putting this together, and actually, let me just see, I think I did that fold backwards, but that's okay. When you put it together, you're essentially putting the long piece in front and the short piece behind, so that when it folds closed, oh, you know what? Oh, darn it. Ha ha ha. This is a 12 by 12 piece. I forgot to take the extra inch off of this piece. So we have a little bit of, where is it going to be easier to take off of? All right, we need an inch off of this piece. I thought, why is that not fitting? And that's because it's from a 12 by 12 piece of paper, not an 8.5 by 11. So I didn't take off my inch. So my inch is now off, and my fold is going to be wrong. Oh dear. All right. Well, we're going to use the same piece anyway, but it won't look as pretty. So I can do some things to hide it. I can either put trees where the wrong fold was. Okay, now which is the right fold there? The second one. So what we need to do is fold this over here. Late night crafting after a family do is not the best thing here. Alright, so now let's try this again. So when it goes there, it will fold perfectly, okay? So make sure that if you're using 12 by 12 paper, cut that extra inch off because it has to match your 8.5 by 11. Crafting with Myra, you learn how to fix your mistakes. That's what it is. Alright, so I'm going to start by putting my mountainous range. I'm going to, there's sort of a line here where the impression stops. So I'm going to tuck everything that isn't part of the actual embossed piece behind here, and then I'll just end up cutting that extra piece off. So I'm just going to put a piece of tape here. So this, my piece is 1.5 by now 11. Now that we cut that extra inch off. Oh dear. Now I'm not trusting myself here, which is the good fold. The second one. Okay, and I took the tape back to the second one. So let's get our mountain range in there. And I'm going to look here so I can see where that embossing stops on the paper. Okay, so it's just stuck on there like that. And I'm going to get long scissors for this. It's just a cleaner cut. Alright, so we've got that on there. And it really depends how you want to do this. If you want to decorate this first or decorate it second, that's up to you. But okay, we'll get there. We'll get there. Hang tough. Okay, so these panels, I already put together, so my blueberry bushel pieces, the base piece here, this is 5 1/4 by 4. And then for these pieces, I have 2 of them, and they're 2 1/2 by 4. Then the DSP, the Designer Series paper, I have 2 of them at 2 1/4 by 4, and 1 of them at 5 1/4 by 3.75. Okay, so those are the measurements for those papers. And it's always with your layers. I mean, some people get into the 1/8 of an inch and whatnot. I personally, for each layer, usually go down 1/4 of an inch, and I find that works for me. I never did switch over to centimeters, so I apologize to those who think I should be going metric. I'm not a metric girl. I'm old school inches. Oh, this is a bad way to lay my paper. Couldn't see the piece there. Alright, so we've got that there. Then I'm just going to put these on. Sort of trying to line it up with the top part or the bottom part of this other piece, so it continues across. And that's just pretty paper. That's, you know, I didn't know what I'd do with this paper, and then when I started playing with the village, and I thought, oh, I need a background for that village, and lo and behold, we ended up with this paper, which I think is lovely. Alright, so there we have our card, right? And it folds like this. There are other cards where, you know, there's this simple fold and they just have something that goes on top here like a big piece. Where you might want to put your greeting in this card is you could theoretically pop something in here. You could, if I wanted to put just a little piece of white paper here, I could put white cardstock with the glitter background. That would be pretty. And I could put some quick little greeting there. Or you could also put it on the back panel. So those, if you're wondering, gee, where do I write who it's from? So the one thing I did do here is I popped a big tree in the center. So I am going to do that before we get going with all of this. So I have my trees cut out from that set. And I'm just going to use my glue and lay it down. So I'm just going up the middle trunk here. I'm not going to stick every branch. There's a couple of larger areas here where I can add glue, but not going to quite go with every branch. It should be safely tucked away inside here. It shouldn't matter. And this one is pretty much the full size of this panel. So I have to go from top to bottom or bottom to top, whichever is your preference. Okay, so I'm just going to leave that. Then, so we've now got the card together with the one tree in there. And I'll move back to my panel here. And so I'm going to sort of layer it just a little bit above, not exactly, you know, you can go to the bottom. I'm choosing to show a bit of the paper and the layering down here, not a lot, just a bit. So I'm going to put some tape on the back, and I definitely don't want my tape to go wider than my card front, but I theoretically could do that 2 and, what did I say, 2 3/4 inch. So I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to just put some tape here so I know where not to pass. Actually, I could just put a couple 3 strips here. That should do it just nicely. Okay, so when I flip it over, that will tape there. And then this one here, I can pretty much do up to the edge of the fold. So I'm just going to lay some tape down here. So the fold on this one is pretty easy, and like I said, similar to the other card that we did. It's just a different angle. Yeah, instead of popping the card up like when you open it, this one is alright, sorry, focusing on getting my piece lined up on the end there. And then this one, especially since I made these naughty folds. Oh, that was silly of me. Ha! Alright, so let's see if we can smooth that out a bit. Now I'm just going to close this over the front of the card. Because of those extra folds, it's a bit wibbly. Okay, there we go. Alright, so there's sort of our basic card. We have our tree back in there. And I'm going to just put a little bit of glue there since I bent that paper. Okay, now comes the fun part. So my greeting is going to hide my little boo-boo number 1 here, because I'm going to put this right on the edge. So that's going to cover up that fold that I made in error on that side. So that was easy. Wouldn't help if I put my greeting upside down now, would it? So I'm going to put it sort of right on the edge. Place it a little bit different than that one, mainly to hide my boo-boo. Okay, so that's that. Now my other error is over here, so I could probably add a tree. But before we do that, let's look at the houses and some of the coloring that happened. So I have my 2 little houses. I still have my trees that I want to add. So for the little houses, I basically have 3 acrylic blocks. I did do my bows on the door with my red marker, but I have my, so I used the Blueberry Bushel Crumb Cake, and this one is Daffodil Delight. So I'm going to start with my yellow, So I just smushed on some yellow ink and I added some water, and this is leftover from last night because I started coloring these last night after I did my other video. So I just put some yellow in the windows because I thought, well, it's getting close to Christmas. Everybody's up wrapping presents or making cards or having parties with family and friends. So the houses are all lit up with joy. I'm gonna start writing my book, Scrapping Stories with Myra while card making. It'll be an audio book, of course, because you need to watch what you're doing. So this is a water pen, and when you squeeze it here, some water comes out, so I can add some water to this. Like I said, this is from last night, so it's dried up a bit, but it sort of reignites when you add water. The joy of watercoloring. So, I'll just do all my windows. Yesterday I was going back and forth between colors, so it took a little bit longer because I had to make sure my brush was clean between colors. I think one of my windows on my original card has a green splotch, but it's fine. All right. So there we go. So I'm just going to give a little bit of a press, and you can see here, see, no more color. So we can move on to the next. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move on to my next darkest color, which is the crumb cake. And I'm looking at my cards that I did here to see where I put the crumb cake color. Honestly, that's the joy of having one card already made. I don't have to stop and make decisions. I just go, oh, okay, that's what I did. Let's go. It's pretty easy to do here. I think the markers would be harder because I did stop and think going, well, why didn't I just use markers? But I think the color, first of all, is a little bit more forgiving here. If you make a mistake, you can sort of add some water and blot it off. So I tried to do these houses a little bit in opposites. So my trim on this house that I'm working on right now is sort of crumb cake, and my trim on the other house is blue. So that's fine. Now I'm just going to, I did this house in just going to get this going a bit. It was a bit dry there. Make up some color. See that little fleck that I did there? It was much too dry. This is better. Just it moves easily. I don't really have to worry too much about that's sort of something happened here, too much color. You can see when all of a sudden you've got no color and it's starting to look different than what you've already laid down on the page, and it's like, oopsie, let's fix that. Sorry, see there, that happened again there. I ended up with a color and then all of a sudden it washed out totally. Alright, we've got this little section here and a little bit of blue. Alright, I'm coloring at the speed of light here. Alright, so that's my crumb cake done. Did you see that water drop out? Yeah. Just the blue's a heavier color, so I really want to make sure I've got it a little bit watered down. I'm going to start with the house, in case I watered it too much. I had too much water on my brush. So let's just get some of that water off. I don't want to flood my page. So just get these colored. I didn't want to have too many parts of the card done off camera. I thought, no, you need to see what's going on here. So this is me coloring at the speed of light. Is it absolutely perfect? No. Will you notice it? I doubt it. I doubt you would notice it to a point that it would really bother you. Okay, that needs a bit more color here. And I forgot to, oh, see, some of it ran into my windows. My brush was too wet. Alright, so much for me saying you won't notice it. I just noticed it. But that's okay. We're just going to get this going here. Okay. And I forgot the trim over here. And then I just want to do the chimney, and despite the fact that I did one trim in blue and one in crumb cake, I'm not thinking I'm going to see a blue chimney anywhere soon. Alright, so there's my color. My paintbrush is clean, although very, very wet now. Must have squeezed a little bit too hard. If I try and fix up my windows. Let's just say they've got wonky curtains in there, shall we? And one thing I didn't do was color my other door. My door here should be blue. And my trim here. Alright, painting just about done. I realize that we're going a bit late. Okay, so now the only thing that I'm going to do is I am going to add some glitter on my houses. So all the rooftops on both of them I put glitter, and then some on the snowman that's on the front lawn there as well. So those were just popped on, and then my trees, I just added them to complement the houses, make them stand out a little bit. So on this card, all that's left to do is to add my houses, glue on my little trees. My big one's already in there. So it's just the 3 trees in the house and a couple more trees here and the house. and that would be the Z fold card. So, hope you enjoyed painting with Myra. So it's just your watercolor and it's just using your ink pad, so that's something we haven't done yet. And as well, what else did we do? Okay, so the card technique, which is the Z fold, so it's pretty much folding the paper the same way, but then attaching it to the paper in opposite directions, right? Because you've got your long fold in the back here, and you've got your long fold in the front here. So you're just attaching it sort of opposite. And then we did some watercoloring, and all sins are hidden with glitter. I stand by that. And adding your verse and your scenes, and you can certainly add more trees. In this set there's also a lovely church that you might prefer to add. You could totally do a wise man thing here. I mean, you could have your church, you could have the shepherd. There's all kinds of scenes that you could build with this card, so I encourage you to give it a try. And if you have any questions, need any sizes, let me know. And we're running a bit late here, and it's late in the evening, so I wish you all a happy crafting day, and thanks for coming to see me. My name is Myra Webb, and it's Myra's Crafting Playground. Thanks very much, and have a nice evening.